My name is Brendan Derone. I am Chief Distribution Officer at E4 Insurance Services, and today is Monday, February 3rd, post-Super Bowl Monday. Hope everyone's feeling okay. With that, we got a couple national days today, and one of them is Hangover Monday, or post-NFL Monday hangover. Sorry, I had it on another screen. It is also National Carrot Cake Day, National Missing Persons Day, National the Day the Music Died, and National Women Physicians Day. So try to incorporate most of those in your life today, maybe not the missing persons, and make the most of the week. With that, I have Brad Mills and Tim Adams on from Symetra, and Symetra is a good partner of ours at E4. So with that, Brad, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Brendan. And the Chiefs' victory for a Missouri guy makes the hangover a little bit better. So thanks for having me, everyone, and good morning. As Brendan said, I'm Brad Mills. I'm Symetra's dedicated regional vice president for the E4 Insurance Services relationship, and they're one of our very best partners. So I help Brendan, Dan, and their team pound on underwriting and win cases top to bottom. So we'll dig in and win a lot of cases for you. But as far as the topic of conversation today, I'm going to speak on life insurance as an asset class. I affectionately call it the IRR story on steroids. So what we're aiming to do is give a client a predictable legacy in an unpredictable world. And Brendan, if you keep popping to the second page, insurance obviously provides a financial hedge against unexpected losses, auto, theft, home, your whole coverages of insurance. But life insurance, we want to get in and see, is this, as a financial instrument, is it a viable tool? So with that backdrop in mind, minding the gap here on the next page shows that the average investor way underperforms the S&P as a fund if you just left it alone. Why is that? Well, investing is emotional, right? People buy high, sell low, do the opposite of what they're supposed to do. And keeping that in mind, they get out at the wrong time. So as you can see, there's a gap between what the S&P 500 has done. Take, for instance, 2016, the average investor did about 7.2%, and the S&P alone did 12. So there's a 4.7% gap in the rate of return just because of that emotional factor of investing. On the next page, what happens behind the math of an investment loss? Like we've had a few times in history, the stock market's been down, 20, 30%. If you have an investment that loses 25%, just to get back to break even, it's not making another 25%. You have to climb a positive 33%. And that could take a little bit of time depending on the rate of return you receive. But for instance, if you made a 4% rate of return, that'd take about 11 years just to break even. Of course, if you made a little more rate of return, that would be narrowed a little bit. So we're speaking of life insurance. You see the nice bull and the bear there. Life insurance adds some predictability for a portion of someone's assets. The reason being, it's a non-correlated asset, so it's not really dependent upon stock market rates of return. I know there's some index products and variable products and things of that nature. But speaking of death benefit purposes, the death benefit is based on mortality tables at life expectancy. So it's a different animal. Page 6, looking at the average life expectancy, 86 for males, 89 for females. We see this strategy quite often used in folks in their 60s or early 70s. So if there is a big hit in their investment portfolio, is there time to recover? Depending on how you're invested and what your goals are, there's ways we can look at what the purpose of the money is and what we can leverage your assets to do. But let's take a look at a quick case sample on page 7. This sample is showing, hey, does life insurance make sense from a rate of return standpoint? I know most of you folks have been in the business a while and looked at the IRR reports What I call internal rate of return is really the rate of return it would take in an alternate investment to beat this leverage into life insurance. So when explaining this premium going in, it's not really a cost. You're taking something from another asset, from an idle or dormant asset, someone that has, kind of like the millionaire next door is living comfortably but wants to leave on a legacy with a portion of their assets. Doesn't have to be the ultra high net worth, but just has to want to know that, hey, if I did this, am I going to achieve a good rate of return on my investment? So this is why we're speaking of it in rate of return philosophy here. So with this chart shows the pre-tax IRR and after-tax IRR. So the good news about life insurance, if owned properly, obviously it's income and estate tax-free. So that gives us a big boost on the rate of return. So at life expectancy, the 67-year-old female has a $3 million death benefit, pays around, I believe it's about $50,000 a year. That rate of return in an alternate investment to beat that leverage in a life insurance would have had to make 8.7% compounded annually every single year until life expectancy age 89 to beat it on a tax equivalent basis. On just a pure rate of return on an after-tax IRR, that's 6%, 5.94%. So not bad, right? So this product, for instance, that we were illustrating here is guaranteed death benefit, guaranteed premium, guaranteed bucket of money to go to the heirs. So this was guaranteed. The only question mark was the time of death in this scenario. So beyond the rate of return at life expectancy, it's a $3 million level death benefit, so there could be a crossover point depending on how long they live. But even if this person would live to age 95, you're speaking of a 5% tax equivalent rate of return. Not too shabby. Page 8, the next page, I look at this two type of ways to look at the IRR story. One being the pure math, like I just mentioned. The other meaning, well, the time involved. How much time would it take after life expectancy to beat this leverage into life insurance? So we got the crossover point. So we spoke about the life insurance, the rate of return pre-tax and after-tax at life expectancy. It would take all the way up to past age 98 or 99 to where a taxable investment would match the death benefit or the leverage to grow big enough to beat this $3 million death benefit. So we got time and rate of return on our side here. And comparing this to an alternate asset, I don't know if you see that little blue 1.9 million. Instead of $3 million, the heirs would have had $1.9 million in Plan B if they would have just left it alone and did nothing. So not too shabby, about $1 million bucks more than heirs at life expectancy. So that was using a guaranteed product. I'm not going to get into a big product dive, however, we're one of the best carriers with a non-leveraged IUL, meaning we're transparent, have a good cash value growth, and we have good guarantees on our Protector product, which is the next slide. The first slide was showing a guaranteed universal life. The next product is showing a Protector product. Same story, same case study, 67-year-old female, about $60,000 a year, $3 million death benefit. Very similar rate of return at life expectancy, about 8.5% pre-tax, just a different product. And Brendan, Dan, and their team will work with you on case design. This is actually the slide you're looking at, one snip out of a IUL or a supplemental ledger that we can provide that matches right up to the client's NAIC ledger. We can dig into that more. If you have any questions after the call, you could ask Brendan or Tim or myself, and we could work on that. But as part of our advanced planning process, we do have special outputs that we can click in and give you this leveraging alternative assets report that matches per your client's particular situation. So it's pretty sweet. So that's a PIUL. So a Protector product with a guarantee to late 80s, but it has S&P 500 index performance building up cash value for an exit strategy. The next page, page 10, is a different take on leveraging assets. This is a single pay. Someone maybe in a B trust or has an idle asset, they just want to get it over with, pop a one-time payment of about $1 million, $1.4 million to be exact, into a single pay to leverage this more so with a minimum death benefit in an accumulation IUL product, not to get too technical, but to grow the cash to hit death benefit corridor, to push up the death benefit at life expectancy. Instead of $3 million level forever, we grew this death benefit making 6 or 6.5% up to $5 million at life expectancy, so age 89. So just a couple of different ways of case design. You could have the conservative route, guaranteed forever, no questions asked. You could have a little bit of an index component with a life expectancy guarantee and a protector product, or if you have a believer in the S&P 500 and you want an index accounting mechanism, go with minimum death benefit and grow that puppy big time to where it keeps up with inflation down the road. It's just all risk tolerance and all what we can do with case design with E4 Insurance Services and Symetra. So if you look at page 11, this shows the rate of return keeping up with your other investments on a single pay, because that inside the cash value grows and the death benefit grows because it pushes up that death benefit year by year by law, the corridor test. So you see you can get an 8 or 9% pre-tax rate of return forever because it's keeping up with inflation and there's no crossover point in that situation. Just another way to look at it. And of course, we've got the umbrella slide on page 12, the benefits of owning life insurance. Have access to the cash value, control over distributions, obviously self-completing if the grantor or the insured passes away. You get the big lump sum of money death benefit to your heirs or to the trust, and you maximize that wealth transfer via tax-free death benefit, income and estate tax-free if owned properly. Who's a good candidate in your book? On page 13, basically someone who has, like I mentioned, doesn't have to be the ultra high net worth. Could be the millionaire next door. Could be someone that's living comfortably on what they have, has a side asset, never money, dormant asset. Maybe it's 50 or 100 grand. We chop a zero off these ledgers, and they still look great for a leverage and an internal rate of return standpoint. How do we get started? I mentioned a little bit of this earlier. Obviously, you have E4 Insurance Services phone numbers. They can help you all day long with case design. We can also help you as well. But on this last page, we have our advanced planning website, as well as we have kits that if you're interested, speak to Brendan and Dan and their team, and they can get you fact finders, show you the output I had on screen with leveraging alternative assets with the IRR story. It's very nice, client-friendly, and forward-facing. So that's all I have. Happy Monday, and Brendan, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Brad. As he mentioned, just another strategy that you can have, in your quiver, especially with the Secure Act passing. This may be a great opportunity to take some of those people with, large IRAs that they had planned to, stretch to the next generation, take those distributions now, pay taxes while they're on sale, and, fund a nice, efficient life product for wealth transfer. I am turning everybody off mute. If anyone has questions, now is your chance to ask. But I want to thank you all for being here. Wish you a great week. And last chance for questions. Going once, going twice. Hearing none. Have a great one.
What do you need?